The presidential candidate of the Labour Party and former governor of Anambra State, Mr. Peter Obi, has openly criticized the Revenue Mobilization, Allocation and Fiscal Commission for its recent proposal to increase the salaries of elected officials and public employees by 114%. As a result of recent reports on various platforms that the federal government is planning to do so. Now, he also criticized politicians for allowing this to happen, including Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his vice, Shatima. In a stirring of tweets on Thursday, Obi expresses displeasure with what he considered as insensitive pay rise for politicians, given that the present economic climate and challenges facing the public. He characterized the pay increase as an act in poor taste. He advised authorities on lowering the cost of governing and relieving citizens' suffering. Now, according to him, I learned with considerable reluctance that the Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission has approved a 114% rise in the salaries of elected politicians, including Mr. President Tinubu and his vice, Shetima, members of the Congress, and those holding judicial and public offices. If there is ever a need for such a compensation increase, now is not the moment. A typical Nigerian nowadays must contend with hard economic realities, and more than 130 million people in Nigeria are currently considered to be living in poverty, and not just ordinary poverty, a multidimensional poverty you can think of. Now, people actually have this saying that poverty is relative to the thing of the mind. Whatever you think about or whatever you imagine, it actually literally make you poor. But this is not the point now, because the government has seen that most of its recent reforms initiative has dramatically raised the cost of living, and one would have literally anticipated that public officials and leaders would concentrate on reducing the burden. Now, first off, talking about increase of the cost of living assets, this whole new recent reforms initiative by the government, you would see that the issue of fuel increase, or the issue of the price of fuel increase in Nigeria, has literally increased the level of livelihood for the ordinary man. And now no one can just have a manageable poverty, but you have a poverty, you literally have to be on the street, and the rate of begging has literally increased in the streets of Nigeria. Now, with recent reforms and initiative that this new government has put in place, so far so good, has totally not been favorable to Nigerians, because if we look at it, we see that a lot of people are literally suffering from these reforms. And here you have the government now making another step to increase just the salaries of some certain people. Meanwhile, we know that when it comes to calculating how much these people earn in a month, it's more than $1 million, and not to talk about annually how much they get paid. Now, for an average Nigerian, I think 100,000 naira in a month in a normal scale without the increase of fuel price could go a long way. Now, why don't these political leaders try to adapt and reduce the fact that they are beginning to earn more than they are supposed to? And the increase of the 114% for Nigerians is outrageous, because it's not even 50, it's not even 10, or even let's say the minimum of 60%. It's 114%. That is going above the 100% that probably this is like a ×2 of what they usually used to earn. Now, let's say they earn 100,000 naira a month, and this is they earning about 200 plus. And I'm trying to find out what exactly are they doing. Are they just making laws? Because if they're just making laws, I literally want to be a lawmaker, so my pays will be increased. Looking at it, these people do not go to war. They just stay back, make some certain laws, make some bills and pass them into laws, and then they are paid more than the Nigerians that literally have to work throughout revenues and tax payments and a whole lot of this. But anyway, this whole thing has to do with the political I wouldn't want to say godfatherism, but this is how everything is going alike, because even the people who salaries are being increased know that they are not even supposed to have an increment at this point in time in Nigeria, because this is literally not the time. because even the minimum wage in Nigeria is not even satisfactory to live in Nigeria for the average man, not to talk about increasing that of those who already have a standard of living and can afford more than 3 square meals a day. And the fact that Nigerians are walking into a multidimensional level of poverty, it doesn't really tell all about a country that was set to be the giant of Africa. Well, let's get to the reactions of Nigerians. As a whole lot of them feel that this whole thing is a tick off for them and they don't see the reason why. Why would they even want to increase their salaries when they do nothing? Exactly what I'm actually saying. They just stay back, make laws, and we are expected to live by these laws. So I think someone else has backed me up right now. Government officials increasing salaries. The fact that they're increasing salary, I hope they're going to increase their jobs, because I obviously see nothing at which they are doing. Political reforms have actually messed up Nigeria. We don't even have a good economic standard, not to talk about increasing the salaries of this new recent thieves. Okay. I wouldn't mind if they increase their salaries, but they should please take off Mr. President and his vice, because they already have a salary that can feed the whole nation for a year and still have a remainder. LOL, please, I do not want to laugh, but I keep laughing at every time Nigerian comes up with a new update. I think we're now trending even more than Bill Gates' visits to Nigeria. After watching, I think Nigerian should pray not to get into war with Russia, because Russia will finish us in a minute. But honestly, I wish Russia would just invade Nigeria. Then probably Nigerians will stop thinking about increasing of salary. They would think about using those money to buy weapons. We're not calling for war in Nigeria, but I wouldn't want to say this is a good idea, but if we channel our energy into something else, probably we would find out that this increment of 114% rather is totally outrageous for a man who just sits on the throne and commands the activities to be done by the guards. Now, we all know a king actually has more rights than every other person, and every other person who's doing the work has to just go by the biddings of the king. But this is a different setting altogether, because I want to just see what else they do apart from bringing bills into law and fighting for their own constituencies or probably their own local government. I want to see what else they are doing apart from all this, because as it stands now, I'm not seeing any more of what they do. Nigeria has always been a comedy show to me. I feel that somehow, somewhere, the president is increasing the salary because he knows he has little or no time left. How would they even want to approve such an outrageous amount? Are they taking us for fools? Because if they are, then they are making a big mistake, because we're having a major comeback very soon. They should all look out for Nigerians. Okay, at this point, Nigerians are angry. At this point, Nigerians are upset. And at this point, Nigerians are willing to pour out their anger. Just in case you're one of those Nigerians who are willing to actually dialogue about all this, do also drop your comments for us at InfoJess.